Well, okay, here's a subject you all might relate to. Have you ever analyzed what your place is in the standard educational hemispheres? I'm talking about humanities and exact sciences. We seem to naturally fall into one or the other and then drift along their paths, sometimes mindlessly, calling ourselves or being called either a geek if you're with the math crowd or a philosopher if you're the reading books type. Well, I first followed my natural knack for humanities and applied myself to studying languages. But then I saw a podcast of Adam Grant with Chancel Pratt, a renowned scientist. She told that programming, which is usually associated with exact sciences, is in essence a language and should be regarded and studied as one. You learn it like any other language and start speaking it, but with text instead of words. And that honestly blew my mind. This meant that these facts that I've heard all my life are not set in stone and I can move from one camp to the other. And if I can, then surely anyone can. Now let me explain if this subject is new to you or needs refreshing. See, it is thought that in terms of predisposition towards learning, people come in two types. First, there are the ones that lean into languages, literature, history, and so forth. Studies that help define us as humans. And then there are the tech types who easily deal with numbers, figures, and formulas. And historically, there's always been a barrier separating the two. And you or your parents or even your teachers had to define early on in your life where you belonged. Well, and on one hand, this barrier can sometimes help people to channel their effort into something they're naturally good at and further develop their passion. But often, this barrier prevents people from achieving their goals and doesn't let them dictate their time and effort into something they really want to do in their life because they are only good at the other thing. I've experienced it, and my friends have experienced it. Is it possible to shake the stereotypes? Let's find out. So first of all, I'm more of a humanities guy myself. In primary school, I used to hate math, and hate not in the sense that I couldn't write tests properly, no. I used to constantly avoid studying for them and avoided answering the teacher's questions. But everything turned around when I became 12. Suddenly, I began feeling a sort of curiosity towards math. And I started asking my teachers to give me more extra work, and I even begged my parents to study with a private tutor, which to this day is proving to be extremely useful. And all of a sudden, my results in math skyrocketed, and when they did, my motivation did as well. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, because even though I managed to increase my level of skill in math-related subjects, I'm still not sure if I'll be able to make it past this. Of course, I should try harder. Persistency is key. But what if my initial predisposition towards humanities wins over? I'm not willing to ditch my intention of getting accepted into some prestigious engineering university per se, but what if I'm simply not good enough? And that's the exact problem with this invisible barrier. Some people simply give up and lose interest in achieving something bigger and, for example, getting accepted into MIT or Harvard. And what's the cause? Is it because they don't feel they are MIT or Harvard quality? Or is it because they feel like they'll never be able to cross the barrier? Surprisingly, this is one of the significant reasons behind giving up. I faced this problem. I would find myself having thoughts such as, I would never become an engineer, and why even bother? And after a while, I realized that the key, as with a lot of things, is to start with little steps. And the first one, and the most important one, is, in my opinion, to set the right mentality. Forget about all the stereotypes and rules created by ignorant people and focus on your future and on crossing that barrier. You've got to put the work in, and you have to try yourself in different fields. For example, if you feel like social studies and history are your thing, but you have a passion for IT, for example, well, that's great. You can try to learn code at home. You can participate in some different conferences. Heck, you can even attend mathematical and programming tournaments if you have to. The same formula can be applied vice versa. If you're considered a mathematical genius among your friends and family, but you want to pursue a career in law, then do the very same thing. Whatever it is, you should leave your comfort zone. And of course, you may fail once. You may even fail a few times. But if you're passionate enough, your brain may just work with you. So here's a short story for you. Last year, I got the opportunity to team up with our school's robotics teacher, crafts teacher, and 2 other students to work on arguably one of the biggest projects I've ever seen and I've ever taken part in. Create a fully functional arcade machine so our students at our school would get the opportunity to play retro games and relax in between classes at the same time. And let me tell you, I was literally terrified prior to going into the process because I had no idea of it. I was very excited going in, and I think that this drive for building something with my own hands is what helped me get things very quickly. And I'm not talking about the woodworking part. I mean, it was cool, but actually I'm implying a programming part. You know those Arduino motherboards you can program and connect to various types of output? Well, that's one of the items we had to work with, and I would give literally anything to try it once again. I mean, in my opinion, making an essentially useless piece of metal and plastic house 10,000 retro games with the power of code is a quite rewarding feeling. So when we assembled the carcass and fixed the monitor and Arduino into place, we were ready to present it at our school's annual science fair. And even though we unfortunately placed at 3rd, primarily because of the psychedelic design of the carcass, which the jury didn't find particularly appealing, I learned a very valuable lesson. A lot of drive and a little bit of knowledge can go a long way in our very fiery combo. I do not know who divided us into these 2 camps, and I don't even know if there should be reconsideration of the whole outdated system. Let scientists worry about that. But what I do know is when you're willing to pursue something outside of your natural strengths and abilities, you have to listen to your heart, and your mind will follow. Thank you.